Okay, so I'm reacting to this video called Shit Posting for Buddha if you are a non-dual troll. Like, I've never watched this guy's channel before. I'm not attacking any religions or anything for this reaction. I guess it was suggested to me because I'm a shit poster or whatever.
So anyway, there's these new terms. When I came out of retreat about 2 years ago, I found I had to learn some new terminology. It's like that. Language changes over the years. So anyway, there's these new terms like internet trolls and haters and shit posters.
Yep, shit posting is, I don't know, it's art.
And of course, at first I didn't know what these things meant. In fact, I thought it was quite funny. I wondered what on earth a troll could be. Now I'm pretty clear.
I do like that picture behind him, was that yellow and blue sort of take on yin and yang thing?
What these things mean. There are some very unhappy and small-minded people, and they try to make themselves feel better by upsetting others. Of course, this isn't going to...
I mean, that's true. But there's different kinds of trolls or shit posters. Like, shit posting, as far as I understand it, like, I'm a bit old, but I think it's just putting something funny out there, you know? And trolling can be evil and harsh and attacking people, but trolling can also be kind of like satire, like poking fun in people's bullshit, almost in a good way. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's going to say.
Lead to happiness. It's only going to lead to more negativity. But I understand. I mean, in the world, there's lots of people like that. They don't feel good about themselves. And so they got to try and make other people's lives miserable. But what does surprise me is that they're...
Yeah, I guess he's talking about, like, not shit posting here, but like sort of nasty trolls that kind of set out just to upset people. But trolling isn't that, as far as I know. Like, trolling comes from back in the day when it was just forums before YouTube and stuff. It was more like just being cheeky a little bit and letting people rise to their own bullshit a bit.
There's such a thing as a non-dual troll, or a non-dual hater, or a non-dual shitposter. And I find that quite amazing. Because basically, if you're a spiritual practitioner, then what you should be trying to do is to develop spiritual qualities.
Like, I'm not a spiritual practitioner, so maybe I'm not going to understand some of what he's saying.
And principal among these are the qualities of humility and compassion. And of course, if you're going around just trying to upset other people, this is the exact opposite of humility and compassion.
Yeah, but if you're poking fun at people who are actually themselves doing that, is that not different?
But I understand. You're doing it because you're not happy. In general, that's why we cause trouble for others. Because we're not happy with ourselves. Our minds are not able to rest.
Yeah, but if people are out there talking shit, I think it's fair to mock them, is it not?
A spiritual practitioner is someone who becomes very open-minded and can easily accept the opinions of others and doesn't get angry very easily, doesn't hold resentment in their heart.
I think that might be the difference between, like, being a nasty troll and just a troll. Like, exactly what he said there.
Now, I've never claimed to have spiritual qualities. I don't claim to be humble or to have genuine compassion, the sort of compassion that a bodhisattva has. But I do have faith and belief in the teachings of the Buddha. And not only that, I believe that these methods alleviate suffering.
Okay, so I can't comment on that because I'm not like a Buddhist and I don't really know much about it. But there's one thing I've always thought that might be a bit wrong with at least what I've heard, and it's this idea that like life is suffering, and I've always thought that could be a mistranslation into English, which maybe there was a word for struggle, like life is struggle, and it got kind of mistranslated into life is suffering.
And so, of course, it's something that I see to be important, and it's something that I try to propagate. I mean, I spent 12 years in retreat, studying and practicing, and I feel I should try to do something with that, to try to share a little bit of what I know, in the hope that it might benefit others. Now, here's why it seems so strange to me that there's such a thing as a spiritual troll or a non-dual troll. People who are apparently on the spiritual path who go around trying to upset people on the internet.
I used to like work on this like hippie farm with this guy that was really spiritual and shit. And what he would do is he would just like poke at people's insecurities hard out, right? Like volunteers on the farm. And he was basically bullying them and trying to get like a reaction. And his thing was like, oh no, I'm just trying to like break them free from their whatever, you know. And actually he was just a cunt. So there is such a thing as spiritual nasty trolls for sure.
It surprises me because for someone who has realized non-duality, then it is 100% certain that they have overcome all of their negative emotions, their kleshas.
Okay, how can you like have non-duality and then also say there's such a thing as negative emotion? Unless I'm missing something here, right? Isn't saying something is negative being dualistic? Because you got, this is negative, this is positive. Am I missing something?
And why do I say that? Well, of all the negative emotions or the mind poisons, the very root is what is called fundamental ignorance. And fundamental ignorance is none other than an inherent or intrinsic belief in duality.
But like you're talking about like negativity and being positive, isn't that duality?
And so if you haven't got this belief in duality, then there's no way to give rise to the mind poisons. Because this belief in duality, this fundamental ignorance, is the very cause of the negative emotions. Famously, it is taught that once a student asked Padampa Sanjay, is it possible for someone who has realized emptiness to still engage in negative acts? And Padampa Sanjay replied, no, it is not possible. And that is because with the realization of emptiness, along with that comes true compassion.
Well, wouldn't it, I mean, forgive me, like I'm not Buddhist, right, but wouldn't that realization mean that you realize it isn't negative things as well?
That's authentic compassion, or non-referential compassion. And someone who has this compassion isn't capable of doing wrong.
I just want to say, like, I really like the layout, the composition here. That the picture in the background's awesome, and where you see it is just it's a good composition.
We only engage in negativity because we lack this most sublime and ultimate form of compassion. I mean, it's possible that some of these people aren't spiritual practitioners. They're just looking to cause trouble, and so they show up on spiritual channels. But if you do consider yourself a spiritual practitioner, and you're going around trolling people or shitposting, then you should
What do you mean by shitposting, man? I don't know. Maybe in your 12 years retreat, you've come out recently. I've got like a different idea about shitposting than you. Shitposting's just when you create some content that's just kind of like has not that much of a point and is kind of silly.
consider this. It is quite likely that you've completely misunderstood the spiritual path. Either that, or you've fallen in with a bad crowd. You're relying on a negative teacher.
So, bad crowd. Isn't that duality? Like you're saying, like there's a bad crowd and there's a good crowd. Like, isn't that just like duality language? Am I missing something like really fundamental here?
For example, there's the story of Angulimala. His teacher told him that if he killed 100 people, he would gain entrance into heaven. There are negative spiritual traditions, but thankfully they're quite rare. But if it isn't the case that you've been led astray, then it is 100% certain that you've misunderstood the spiritual path. As it is taught, the very foundation of all spiritual practice is altruism, the wish for others to achieve happiness and well-being. But sadly these days, there is a great increase in negativity in the world.
Isn't just you saying that being negative? There's a growing, or sadly, there's a growing negativity in the world. Like people have forgot altruism. Isn't that you being negative? Sorry, like respectfully.
And rather than propagating the teachings of love and compassion, then everyone is doing their best to spread hatred and division, to sow the seeds of fear and anxiety in others. When the Buddha taught that karma makes the world, then what he was trying to tell us was that it is on the basis of our own negative emotions that we bring suffering into this world. And I don't understand that people can't see that anger and resentment are negative things. Not only do...
Well, there might be, but like when it comes to trolling and shitposting, it's not... It's maybe about where it comes from. If you're trolling people because you're angry at them and you want to take them down or something in a nasty way, that's bad. Or if you're like what you call shitposting in a nasty way, does it not matter where it comes from? Like, not all trolling's going to be coming from a bad place. It can be satire. It can be like mocking. It can be mocking people that need to be mocked.
They make things difficult for others. But this anger and resentment also makes oneself suffer. Because where the mind is afflicted with resentment and anger, there is no peace. And it is my wish.
Okay, so maybe like I'm completely on the wrong thing here, and like he's talking about people trolling and shitposting from a place of anger and resentment, and I think he's right in a way saying that like that's just actually going to affect the person that's doing it. So yeah, like that's fair enough.
Wish that you should achieve this peace. Peace and tranquility, and the freedom from the afflictive emotions that torment us. That you should progress swiftly on the spiritual path towards final...
Like people talk about the spiritual path and stuff, but like isn't just life a spiritual path? Like no disrespect to you, sir, but you, it sounds like you went and lived in a monastery or seclusion for 12 years or something. And that's cool, but like how is that like a spiritual path any more than like, I don't know, just having a normal life, like dealing with work, dealing with like people paying the rent, having kids, having girlfriends and stuff. Like, is that not a spiritual path too? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but like this idea of like a spiritual path is sitting in a cave staring at a wall. I don't think that's of any more value as a spiritual path than experiencing other things in life, you know.
Awakening and liberation from samsara. So that's about all I wanted to say this evening. And until next time, then see you later.
Okay, well, nice video. I hope you don't think I'm trolling you or shitposting you in a bad way with this video. So